Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss some important topics from the chapter reproduction. So in the reproduction chapter, the first part we have discussed in the previous video a few important questions from the first part. Now in this part we discuss the second half of the lesson, the important topics in the form of questions. So let us see the first question. Rhizopus reproduces by. Rhizopus is a fungus. It reproduces by. How it reproduces? We see that Rhizopus, it produces spores. Rhizopus produces spores. Spores are the small, very light reproductive units of fungus. So these spores, they are very light. They are easily carried by the wind and they are dispersed. But how these spores are produced in Rhizopus? The Rhizopus, they have got a special structure. They have got a filament-like structure, fiber-like structure. So on the top they have a blob-like structure in which they have a special sac called as sporangium. Sporangium is a special sac in which spores are developed. So spores are developed in the sporangium. Once this sporangium is mature, it bursts and opens out. When it opens, the spores are exposed to air, they are carried by the wind and they get propagated. So the Rhizopus, it reproduces by producing spores. Spore formation is the mode of reproduction in Rhizopus. So we'll see the next question. Examples of animals in which external fertilization takes place. We need to give examples. The question is examples for the animals in which external fertilization takes place. So we know that sexual reproduction involves fertilization, the fusion of male gamete and female gamete. But in fact, if you see generally in case of animals like mammals, the fertilization takes place in the body of the female. In the body of the female, the male gamete fuses with the female gamete and the formation of zygote takes place. That is called as internal fertilization. When it happens inside the body, you call it as internal fertilization. But if it happens in the outside atmosphere, outside the body, you call it as external fertilization. That means the fusion of male and female gametes takes place outside the body. It doesn't take place either in the male body or the female body, it takes place outside the body. It's called as external fertilization. In which organisms we see this external fertilization? We see this external fertilization in frogs and fishes. So the frogs and fishes, they release the reproductive cells into their surrounding. Frogs, they live in the water, they release their egg cells in the water. The male frogs release the sperm cells into the water. Their fusion takes place in the water. So it is called as external fertilization. Examples are fish and frog. Let's see the next question. What is the pouch-like organ present in the male reproductive system? So what is the pouch-like organ present in the human male reproductive system? So it is called as scrotum. It is a pouch-like organ in which testes are located. So the main function of the testis is to produce the sperm cells, that is the spermatogenesis. So here the process of spermatogenesis, it needs certain special conditions. That is the reason why the testes are not present inside the body cavity. They are present outside the body cavity in the scrotum. So why they are present in the scrotum, not within the body? The reason is the spermatogenesis, the process of sperm formation, it needs some special temperature. It cannot take place in the body temperature. The body temperature is little higher for the spermatogenesis. It needs minus some 2 to 3 degrees less temperature for the process of spermatogenesis compared to the body temperature. That is the reason why the testes are present outside the body in a pouch called as scrotum. What are the accessory glands of male reproductive system? What are the accessory glands of male reproductive system? So what are the glands that we see in the picture of male reproductive system? By labeling we can see that there are two important accessory glands called as prostate gland. It is a single gland, and a pair of bulbourethral glands. These bulbourethral glands are also called as Cowper's glands. So prostate gland and Cowper's glands. these glands, they secrete some fluid. This fluid, it plays a very important role. What is the function of this fluid? So we see that the sperm cells are formed in the testis. There we see small tubules called as seminiferous tubules. Then they are connected to the vasa efferentia, epididymis, and from there it comes out through a special duct called as vas deferens. This vas deferens, it is carrying the sperm cells. On the way, the sperm cells, they receive some fluid from the prostate gland and bulbourethral glands. So this fluid, it provides nutrients for the sperm cells. It helps in their mobility. So for that purpose, the fluids are added to the sperm cells. So now all together called as semen, and it is excreted through and it is sent out through the urethra. So these are the two accessory glands, prostate gland and Cowper's glands. They help in the secretion of certain fluids in the male reproductive system. Name the hormone that control the functioning of male reproductive system. So the male reproductive system is controlled by male hormone. Do you know what is that hormone? It is testosterone. Testosterone is the male reproductive hormone. So that is produced by the testis, and it helps in the development of male reproductive organs, functioning of male reproductive hormones, and it also helpful for the development of secondary sexual characteristics in males. So secondary sexual characteristics in males are developed by the action of male reproductive hormone, that is testosterone, right? What is the length of seminiferous tubules? What is the length of seminiferous tubules? So seminiferous tubules are present inside the testis, that they are responsible for the production of sperm cells. So what is the length of it? 80 centimeters. The length of the seminiferous tubules is 80 centimeters. So the seminiferous tubules are the tubules present inside the testis, and these tubules, they are joined together to form the vasa efferentia, and it forms the epididymis. So from the epididymis, it comes out as the vas deferens, right? So let's see the next question. So now see the last question. You have to find answer for this question and post it in the comment box. The question is, from which age the spermatogenesis begins in males? So at which age the spermatogenesis begins in males? You have to tell that age, right? So if you know the answer, please write it in the comment section. If you like the video, please like it and share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe this channel. And if you want to see the first part of it, you can find the link in the description given below.